Back at the LA Auto Show, there's a bright orange 2019 Corvette ZR1 Convertible on the show stand, glimmering under the lights, being ogled by admirers and measured by competitors. Just over 100 miles away, at the oldest permanent road course in the U.S., at the western edge of the Mojave Desert, two beat-up ZR1 coupes wait in a pit garage. They're filthy, with a couple of vehicle lifetimes between them. One is covered stern to snout in stick-on swirly camouflage, roughly applied, with bits of the bright red paint showing beneath. The other is half-covered, but the exposed parts are unfinished with trim pieces missing. They're dead cars walking, since pre-production cars like this and their brutal lives in the jaws of a crusher. We're not here to look at them, of course. The 755 horsepower small blocks, force-fed with massive superchargers, quake to life. Resonating off the garages, they almost sound unrestricted, but without the teeth-gritting resonance you get when you straight pipe a thing like this. I turn to Tad Juichter, proud father of unreasonably quick Chevrolets, and ask if the cars here today are competition exhaust or something. He wrinkles his nose a bit. Nope, these are the stock pipes, street legal. The ZR1 is a few decibels louder than the Z06, he says. To call this an understatement is generous. This is the loudest Corvette the company has ever made. That's pretty much the ZR1 in microcosm, everything's turned up a bit. Juichter and his comrades are gleeful, telling us about things that their new LT5 engine broke during the 4 years they developed it. Like dynamometers. Lots of them. The exhaust stacks would get so hot from the blast furnace that is this motor that they'd crack. Jordan Lee, the GM small block program manager, tells us this like the proud dad of an especially rowdy kid. So they try water cooling jets. Then, showing the seriousness to which the GM engineers took this problem, they threw some money at it and built the stacks out of Inconel, a nickel chromium superalloy. That did the trick. It took 10 times as long to validate the engine output, Lee says, because so much stuff broke. Engineers love these stories. They're good stories, though. Outside, the ZR1s run some laps before we go out in the right seat, and Juichter and Lee continue educating us on what's changed compared to the Z06. We learned a lot of the broad strokes in Dubai, where Chevy revealed the ZR1. But today at Willow Springs some cool details emerge. To begin with, both cars are wearing the $2,995 ZTK package, just like the Dubai car. That means a high wing, Michelin Pilot Sport Cut 2 tires the size of oil barrels, and a light retuning of the magnetic ride control. It's good for around 950 pounds of downforce at speed. The increased downforce is noticeable at 50 miles per hour, Juichter says, though it's subtle. From 80 to 100 miles per hour, it's more noticeable. More understatement. Without the ZTK, it's a few hundred pounds total. Picking the convertible means less downforce, as the top depowers the rear wing a bit. The front spoilers and plates are removed to counterbalance that. Don't want a planted front and less planted rear, no sir. We treat aero as a safety issue, Juichter says. When you have a car that can approach the speed of a light aircraft, you have to. And, in case you were wondering, the perfect way to set up a ZTK optioned car is to hunker the front end down a half-inch by cranking the transverse leaf spring adjusters and tipping the wing down to the full 5 degrees of its travel. The cars pull in, and we slip into a Hans and open face helmet, then into the Sparko bucket. Here's a tip from us to you: if you see something with 755 horsepower and a 5-point harness inside, and the guy to your left was responsible for stress testing the entire vehicle dynamics package, tighten up your belts. Then tighten them up some more. Barely able to breathe is a pretty good target. Michael Tun is the young, pleasant engineer next to me, about to unleash a lot of violence on Willow. We chat for a couple, then he lights off down the pit lane.